Yeah, Dan. So season 1 has come to a close, and it left off on a super creepy note. I'm glad you watched it now because now we can talk about how it ended, and also I can talk about how I feel like this show subverts a lot of those pervert tropes, and I feel like a
Hmm.
great way. So we're gonna talk about Dan. We might talk about it for a bit now that you've seen it, but
Yeah.
first let me just hear what you think before we get into that stuff.
So, I guess initial thoughts. Like I said, I really loved it. The first episode was definitely like I liked it a lot, but I was like, I don't know. This is cool, but I don't know if it's for me. Then
Mm,
that second episode hit, and I'm like, I'm locked in.
yeah,
I'm locked in. Um, I do love the avoidance of the typical pervert tropes, and the way they do them. I love the fact that there's a female protagonist and like she has her own goals and motivations outside of like the romance subplot, and also the fact that her and Okarun have chemistry. Like most
most shonen just
I,
don't do romance well.
yeah,
It's
it's
very
like
tacked on.
they
It's like not like they don't even care about the romance. They just throw it in
yeah, it's
there
like
because
an
they
afterthought.
feel like it needs to be there, even though most of the time a lot of shonen that try to do romance and they do it bad would it be better off they just didn't do it at all.
Right. But Dandadan does it in a way where it's like it feels natural to the narrative. Also, these feel like real high schoolers. I
Yeah,
think that's the biggest thing for me. They're not like high schoolers with superpowers, but it's like they're so mature and so like, they're actual, like it seems like they're actual real life high schoolers, which I
yeah.
think is really really good. The dub is great
Oh yeah.
and it's really funny.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic even, and like I don't know, I just really like the character interactions and all the stuff. I think episode 7 was my favorite despite how sad it was. um just with what all went on, and I'm excited for more. I might read the manga before season 2 comes out.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, but I was like, season 2 comes out so soon that I don't want to spoil my experience. So I'm just gonna watch it. Maybe when the series
That's real.
ends, I'll go back and read it. But yeah, it's real good. Like I said, at the very end, it does end on a very creepy note, and like based on the way it's
Hmm.
been written so far, I want to hope that it's like handled well, and that
I would
like
assume so. I mean,
it isn't played as a joke.
it's done it pretty well so far. Even at the beginning, where it's like that, like with the whole alien abduction with Momo thing, I was like, ooh, yikes! But then they handled it in a very like, despite all of the like the dick jokes, they handled it in a very mature and like reasonable way, and I'm like, okay, all right,
Yeah, because I
still
was
got my
like, because
attention.
it just ends there. I'm like, hold on, y'all got to resolve this. You can't just end. That's a weird place to end. But
Right.
I feel like the best example of how they go out of their way not to sexualize the women in this show, the girls really, because they're teenagers, is
Mm-hmm.
I forget what episode number it was, but the second episode when they're fighting the Loch Ness monster and the aliens and the mantis shrimp.
Right.
They they're underwater and the whole school gets immersed in water. So to swim faster, they take their clothes off so they would have less drag. Okarun's already naked. They have the girls have
Mm-hmm.
clothes on, but they get half naked. They still have their underwear on. Um, Not at any point after they took their clothes off do the animators do any shots that like expose them in any way. They do the action like they would normally, and they don't go out of their way to try and emphasize the body parts of the girls in
Right.
any way, shape, or form. And ultimately, that whole thing happens to facilitate a joke that happens after they defeat the monster that is hilarious and
Right.
results in some like fun drama. It's like done for the sake of comedy, not for the sake of sexualizing the
Perversion.
characters. It's
Yeah.
not for the sake of perversion. It's done for comedy, and it's not even the type of comedy that um, treats the girls as objects.
Right.
So like based on that, I have a feeling,
Yeah.
and the fact that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it much,
Complain
um,
about it.
like
Yeah.
complain about it from the manga, that they probably handled what happens at the end. Like I don't know why I'm talking about it like it's a spoiler when I already said spoiler, but like
Right.
just a bunch. Was it Momo goes into a hot spring, and then a bunch of
Hot spring.
creepy
Yeah.
dudes come in, and it looks like they're about to assault her, and then it just ends. That's just the end of the episode, and I'm like,
I'm like, whoa,
what the hell?
whoa, what's
But
happening?
well,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in July, I guess. Which,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, is interesting that was it Bleach is doing the exact same thing where like a season comes out every year. You know, we don't
Yeah,
get that much anymore. You know, where's Frieren?
you really don't.
I need Frieren season 2 bad. Um, that show's so
Real.
good. Yeah, like yeah, it's nice to have anime come out so consistently. Damn, you know what
For
I
sure.
forgot to do?
What?
Write notes on B stars.
Oh, I will say, before we move on from Dun Dun Dun, one thing that I really, really love is that they take all like the sexualization that could be aimed toward the girls and then tack it on
Oh yeah.
Momo's grandma. Listen.
You see, look, that's what I've talked about this before, where I say like, if you're going to if you're going to sexualize a woman in the show, at least make sure it's a grown ass woman. Like,
Right.
if you're going to sexualize a character, at least have it be an adult instead of having it be like some 16-year
Like a
old
teenage girl.
that you're drawing to look like an adult. Like, just actually have it be the adult. And like you said,
Right.
they're sexualizing her, and even then, it's not too much. It's like the perfect amount.
Right.
I'm curious
It's like,
how old the creator of this is. I know they
I can look it
were
up. Hold
previously an assistant to Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man,
on.
and they do mention in a lot of interviews how they, read a lot of shojo and took a lot of inspiration from like romance manga.
And you can tell, like, I think that's why Okarun and Momo have so much chemistry. It's like because of that, like, I think a lot of shonen authors who like try to put romance in their works should take notes from shojo. I think that's like, that's helpful, and it really like boosted my enjoyment of Don Da Don. I couldn't find any information on how old he is, unfortunately.
Because in my mind, they're probably at the very least a millennial, and I feel
Yeah,
like
for sure.
just this is us seeing like younger people just telling popular stories now, and being starting to make work that reaches people's eyes, and just someone who grew up in a different time and lives in a different time and recognizes that these old tropes are outdated and bad and they need to be better. That's why I was curious how
Right.
old they are, because they're probably on the younger side. They're probably no older than like 35.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's all I have to say about that. And if you don't have anything, excited for the next season. Animation. Before we move on,
Um,
actually, animation by Science Saru, who also animated
it's
um
fantastic.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. It's incredible. It's great. It's beautiful. Also, the fact that
Truly.
they used it a second time in like the second to last episode of that like I don't know the name of that song, but it's a famous song.
The William Tell Overture,
Yeah, they use that song to whenever Okarun is running when he transforms, which is funny.
which is beautiful.
Yes, I hope
It's
I
just, I
hope
don't know.
they
Dun Dun
keep using
Dun
that.
is so fun. I haven't watched a fun anime in so long. Like,
Yeah,
I think
so many
it was
shonen are so depressing nowadays,
so sad. So sad.
like Chainsaw Man
Definitely
and
so.
Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan.
Right. It's like,
Where it's like it can be funny sometimes, but it's mostly depressing.
it's mostly sad. And it's like, it's been a long time since I've watched like any anime even that's just purely funny most of the time.
Yeah,
Like, a lot of them are like funny a good chunk of the time, but then there's like a whole bunch of sad
Jujutsu
elements.
Kaisen too.
Don Da Don is just, yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen especially, because it's like Don Da Don is what I wanted from Jujutsu Kaisen going into it, but it turned so sad that I'm like, I can't, not right now, not with how the world is at this moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I've got. I just really enjoyed it. It was fun to watch.